technically at 10 a.m. So in about another, I guess, 9 hours, I will be taking part in starting the first day of the 2,000 push-ups in 23 days. It'll be day one, 63 push-ups. So that's going to be really fun. I'm just going to do a quick check on the sound, make sure it's good, and make sure you guys can actually hear me. Give me 1 second. Can you hear me? Yes, audio's good. Okay, let me switch this to public. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. When it comes to these streams, I don't have any specific topics. But nonetheless, let's just wait and let's see who joins and let's see who jumps in the chat. I hope you guys enjoyed answering some of my poll questions. It was really, really fun. Thank you all for being here. I hope you have a great day. We'll talk soon. Or I guess we'll talk right now. Let's see who joins. Again, no specific topics. We're just hanging out and chatting. I really enjoyed the last 2 days worth of discussion. Regarding cults. I think it's a really important topic because many people wrongly consider Freemasonry to be a cult. Explaining why it is not a cult and how it is not a cult, I think that's very, very valuable and very helpful and very useful. So I hope you guys enjoyed the discussions, and also explaining what to do if you know someone or you might, yourself be involved in a cult or otherwise abusive group, especially ones that are pretending to be or claiming to be Masonic. So let's give it a few moments. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. And I'm just going to wait, see who jumps in the chat to say hello. Link, can you hit the like and subscribe button? Not falling for that, but good effort. Well, what about my eyes? I think my eyes are quite wonderful myself. The eyes are the window to the soul, is what they say. I have not looked up the Anunnaki yet. Here, I'll look them up right now because I'm hanging out, just chilling. So the Anunnaki are deities in the pantheon, descendants of the god of heaven and earth, or the god of the heavens and the goddess of earth. They are a group of deities of the ancient Sumerians, Akkadians, Assyrians, and Babylonians. In the earliest Sumerian writings about them, which come from post-Akkadian period, the Anunnaki are deities. So in Sumerian, the name of this group of deities is variously written as Anuna, Anunnaki, Anuna, meaning princely offspring, royal offspring, or literally offspring, progeny, seed of princes. The Anunnaki are chiefly mentioned in literary texts. By the way, I'm just reading from Wikipedia because I don't know these guys. I don't analyze crypto trends, but I have, Dr. Not So Happy, but I have had crypto experts on the podcast in the past and talked about ways it is potentially connected to Freemasonry. Yes, I got a big nose, AB. Please hit like and subscribe. Thank you, Jason, for the first like. I appreciate it very much. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having an excellent day. Please, as always, if you are new to the stream, follow Jason's lead, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let me know how you guys are doing. I mean, I suppose common sense would be a way to debunk it, the master. If we were sacrificing kids, we'd probably be in jail. And would I be talking about Freemasonry? I mean, I suppose if you really want to, you can join. However, your uncle sounds like an idiot. The bowling team. No, I don't know you're the bowling team, but Thank you for the offer. How about you hit the like button, subscribe button, hang out for a little bit, and eventually maybe I'll make you a subscriber. Um, I look just like you. Well, then my definitely um oh God, why? If you look just like me, then my condolences because I'm a very ugly person. However, I hope you have at least a good personality to match. What is the Masonry excuse for ignorance? I don't understand that question. I mean, there is no excuse for your ignorance. I don't know what that would mean. I mean, I would say it's more the question is your ignorance, the more the question is your lack of common sense. Um, if you want to learn about Freemasonry, a good place to start would be Freemasonry for Dummies, which was a book by Chris Hodap. It's a great book. Hanging out on this channel, or if you're really curious, you can join a Masonic Lodge. You have to go through the application process. There's no guarantee you'll be accepted, but you can at least go through the process. Well, none of that is true. The master, keep in mind, I'm not a 33rd degree Mason myself. I have done my research. I know 33rd degrees. I'm 18th degree. It's a misunderstanding of, for example, Albert Pike, amongst other things. And what Albert Pike believed, even though Albert Pike is not himself a venerated individual. We don't have, venerated Freemasons. It's not like Albert Pike is some type of leader of Freemasons. But if you want to know these things, at the end of the day, I never discuss the specifics of rituals. What I always say is if you want to, within all the rituals I've seen throughout the world when it comes to Freemasonry, I've never seen anything that I would describe as that would be illegal, immoral, unsanitary for that matter, or against one's civic, religious, familial, or other responsibilities. Um, I mean, it depends how you define it, Cody. Yes, the master. So Cody Hayes, I mean, if you want to call us occult, you can. It depends how you define occult, right? Occult used to just mean hidden. So by that knowledge, your bank account information is occult knowledge as well, right? I do not. Dylan, do you hit the like and subscribe button? Yeah, Leo Taxel was the famous hoax, which a lot of Catholics did believe. Also, Albert Pike didn't do us any favors based on what he wrote in Morals and Dogma, which I'm not knocking Albert Pike completely. I think he had a lot of valid statements and thoughts, but he also had a lot of he had a lot of incorrect or improper thoughts as well. He got a lot of things right, and in my opinion, he got a lot of things wrong also. But at the end of the day, he was writing about his personal Masonic philosophies. He was not writing about what Freemasonry means to everybody, or even the rules of or proper interpretations of Freemasonry. He was providing his interpretations. It's a book of philosophy more than, for example, a constitution or bylaws. I don't mind Mark Carney. Freemasonry is not religious. You need to, sorry, not political, excuse me, or religious for that matter, but it's not political. We have some Freemasons who may love Mark Carney, some who may not like him at all. Me personally, I I think he's done a decent job in a very challenging time right now with a lot of political situations around the world, particularly with our neighbors in the south. Or if you live in Windsor, like I do, our neighbors to the north. I'm in one of the few places where America is to the north of us. Probably the only place. Well, I don't know, Freddie, because I don't know who Saint 10 is. Although with that name, it sounds like he's trolling. I mean, it's not impossible because Freemasonry is not a religion. It's not impossible to have a Freemason who is a Wiccan, Wiccan. He may practice witchcraft. I don't know what his religious beliefs are, but I'm suspicious personally of him. It sounds like he may be trolling. But I have known Wiccan, again, Freemasons, Wiccan, and I think maybe they would describe themselves as practicing witchcraft. I'm not sure exactly what their practices would entail. I mean, I'm not one who believes personally in like spells or witchcraft or anything like that, but that's my own personal opinion. Um, I'm not going to even say whether there is or is not a secret handshake, Craig. What I will say is if you want to know these things, you got to join Freemasonry. There are modes of recognition. The value of those modes of recognition is it bonds brethren, it bonds Masons through shared knowledge, which is a very valuable tool to create bonds between brothers. It's no different than a family that has a family recipe. The reason you keep the recipe within the family and don't share it outside of the family is because you want to maintain the bonds between the different family generations. Congratulations, Busari. You should be very proud of yourself. We all start at zero, so if you get 10 people willing to subscribe, that means 10 people like your content, and that's something you should be proud of. And you go from 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 30. It just keeps growing, right? It just takes time. But just don't stop. Just keep going. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other or one wheel in front of the other. Maybe first person, maybe there is, maybe there isn't. You got to join. Craig, I mean, certainly Freemasonry, you can develop some networking capabilities. However, with that same token, you could develop the same networking capabilities by joining a knitting club or joining a football team or playing team sports, right? Networking is not the reason to join Freemasonry necessarily. However, it can be an added benefit for sure. Um, I mean, fair enough, Catherine. I guess it depends how you define witchcraft. By the way, Catherine, I think you're new to the stream. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. I hope you're doing well, and thank you for being here. Well, Ben, I'm definitely not a supporter of Trump myself, but that's my own personal opinion. That doesn't reflect the opinions of Freemasons. Every Freemason will likely have his, or her for that matter, exclusive opinion on Freemasonry and, sorry, on Donald Trump and politics. They may be liberal, they may be conservative, they may be left, they may be right, they may be center. Who knows, right? Freemasonry is not a political organization. It does not require any political kind of beliefs from its membership. Every member is free to believe politically what they so choose, as well as religiously for that matter. First generation, I mean, my father and grandfather were both Freemasons, but please keep in mind, you don't need to have a family connection to be a Freemason. No idea what that means, scary, but please hit like and subscribe. I got a little bit of a cold, I think, or I think my voice is just struggling a bit. Uh, I am Remarks. Well, I can't rest. I got to keep working, but please hit like, please hit subscribe. No, the Freemasons are not related to Epstein. Epstein was not a Freemason. At least I have no information that he was. I was thinking of talking about that at a later stream, though, because Freemasonry amongst conspiracy theorists is getting tied into the Epstein stuff, which I keep pushing against. I don't think he's a necessary evil, Timothy Carroll. I personally, again, am not a fan of Donald Trump, but that's just me. I am Remarks. Please hit like and subscribe. Non-Form 3, are you a subscriber? That's the better question. I am a dude asking you, Bic Olive, to hit the like and subscribe button. Um, Good for you, scary. I think I know some people. Actually, I should be careful because I don't know for sure what or whom Lord Shiva is. So if it's, and I could be wrong, if it's related to the Hindu faith, I know several Hindu Freemasons. Um, I am not, I do not love andreochrome. I don't know what that is. But you sound very strange, scary, spooky. I think you may need to talk to some professionals. Um, Hello, Barry Pulaski. Thank you for being here. Sherry, please hit that like and subscribe button. Also, I hope everybody watching this is doing well and having an excellent night. We're just hanging out, chatting about Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have, positive, negative, or neutral? I've been a Freemason for 20 years, just about. I joined in 2007. I've been to over 1,000 Masonic events all around the world, in the Philippines, in North America, South America, England, Scotland, and I've been grateful for every time I've traveled. Oh, Gunzi with the question. I am a third degree Master Mason, which is the highest degree within Freemasonry. I'm also an 18th degree Scottish Rite Freemason. Um, Well, I don't know what that means, the happy little homestead. Please hit like and subscribe. Freemasons usually will not ask people to join. You have to join of your own free will and accord. They may invite you to the Masonic Lodge for like a banquet or an open house or a special event, but that's not the same thing as asking you to join. I'm not sure why being a seer has anything to do with anything. I'm not even sure what that means. But Freemasons aren't out there, for example, searching for or looking for a seer. That's not how it works, right? Within Freemasonry, you have to believe in a supreme being, you have to be over the correct age, and you have to approach the lodge and express your interest in joining. The Happy Little Homestead, I'm worried you may be approached by a clandestine lodge. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Yes, Gnome, I am Canadian. Born and raised in Winnipeg, currently live in Windsor, Ontario. No, the Freemasons are not anti women. In fact, there are many women Freemasons, the Order of Women Freemasons, Eastern Star. There's even Code Freemasonry in France, for example. Uh, um, I think when it comes to trans issues, I'm not qualified to speak. It should be up to the doctors and the families. There are a lot of idiots, Timothy Carroll, all the time. It's the world, unfortunately. Um, So I would say, in terms of an atheist being able to join or not join, Zach, the bigger question is how do they define atheism? The term supreme being is usually very liberally defined. Most people would probably consider me an atheist, and yet I was able to join. What I always advise to people is if you think you are an atheist, but don't prejudge it. Go to the lodge and express your interest and express what you believe. See what they say. However, there are Masonic orders around the world, especially in France, but other places that do accept atheists as well. I am, in fact, Glenn Benton, a Master Mason. I am a third degree Master Mason since 2008. I'm also an 18th degree Scottish Rite. Good for you, PR428. I am a YouTuber asking for subscribers. It is not satanic. It is neither ultimately nor satanic in any other way. Chuck Mays, I believe the Supreme Being, the way I describe it, is the Supreme Being is the rational nature of the universe as expressed through geometry and as expressed through science. And whatever that means to you is perfectly fine. I do not make money as a Freemason, Captain Cake. Anybody who tells you that joining Freemasonry will make you rich or famous is not the case. However, I'm trying to make money and turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession through this YouTube channel. So please hit like, please hit subscribe, consider doing a super chat, just 99 cents. Zach, I mean, I guess in theory, but I've never seen it. I've never met a satanic Freemason. And in fact, I did once speak to a Satanist who expressed an interest in joining Freemasonry. However, when he learned what Freemasonry is and how it operates and what its principles are, he said he would not want to join because Freemasonry was opposed, or Freemasonry was the opposite of his satanic beliefs. So I guess you take that for whatever it's worth. Never met a satanic Freemason. I don't know for sure because what I've been told is a Satanist views himself as the supreme being, which I don't think would qualify because that's not anything outside of you. It has to be something outside of oneself, at least. Well, the trades Random Purple, by the way, Random Purple, please hit like and subscribe. The Masonry trades, that's a profession. It's a noble profession. Freemasonry is a civic or community group. It's not the same thing. I don't know if it was or not, Smarties. I've never seen the Eyes Wide Shut movie. However, the Freemason logo makes its way in a ton of movies. It was in the movie Prisoners. Jake Gyllenhaal wore the ring, for example. Brandon, none of that is true. I do not have demonic attachments. At least I don't believe I do. Nor do we open the door for demons, nor for Satan. Good for you, first person Victoria. I'm not going to say it here. I do not know who Baal is. I never heard of Baal in Freemasonry. The first and exclusive times I've heard about Baal or Baal was on this stream, people telling me that I worship him, which is annoying since I never heard of him. He's not part of Freemasonry. A Master Mason does not have to be voted in and sworn. An entered apprentice or a candidate or an applicant needs to be voted in. After that, they advance through the degrees based on their proficiencies. Now, a lodge can say they don't feel the person is ready, I suppose, if they've not completed the proficiencies properly, but that's a different question. Yes, anybody can join Freemasonry. It does not discriminate based on one's religion or one's religious beliefs. We do not worship Baal, Manny. We do not worship any god. There is no Masonic god. Um, AMA, Allied Masonic, that's AMD. What is AMA, Carl McCuffin? Um, I have not heard of Alton Childs or Childs. I am not a Russian communist. I am Canadian. However, you could be Russian and be a Freemason. You could also, I suppose, be communist. Freemasonry is not political, right? It is not a political organization. Well, if you would probably join the Order of Women Freemasons, I suppose. I am not Christian nor am I Muslim, but I have great respect for both religions. Again, Freemasonry is not religious. I know many Masons who are Christian, who believe in Jesus, many others who are Muslim and believe in Allah. So, I mean, maybe my suspicion is first person Victoria. You don't really know how to define communism in a particularly decent way. If you think Canada is increasingly communist, how would you define that? Well, I mean, Freemasonry, it's individuals. So some, I guess, Freemasons are very open-minded, some less so. It really just depends on the Freemason himself. It's not Freemasons, we're different people. We're all unique. We're all individuals. Um, I did not, Nathan, but I guess we'll see what happens. Obviously, I've been hearing a ton about the Epstein files. So there's that. Um, cool, the happy little homestead. My grandfather's a Freemason as well, as was my father. Actually, both my grandfathers were Freemasons. I don't think that's inherently communist, first person Victoria. That can be communist, but I don't think it's inherently communist to have greater levels of state control, right? It depends what they're controlling, right? It's the question goes more to the ideas of means of production, right? I mean, for example, most people would say, governments should have full control over national defense. That doesn't mean national defense is inherently communist. Um, well, Freemasonry is not a cult, Stone Raider. I, in fact, spent yesterday and the day before talking about what a cult is and why Freemasonry is not, in fact, a cult. You can check out those live streams. But Freemasonry is not a cult. Very sorry to disappoint. Well, Albert Pike was incorrect, and Albert Pike was a pain in the butt. Albert Pike was providing his philosophy of Freemasonry. He was not providing what Freemasonry actually is. He was providing his opinions. Also, Albert Pike was Luciferian in the sense that he viewed the serpent in the garden as Lucifer, who was a separate entity from the Satan, the angel cast out of heaven. He viewed them as two separate beings. The Lucifer, the serpent in the garden, Lucifer, Lightbringer, he viewed him more as a Prometheus type figure who brought knowledge to humans. Or, Prometheus brought fire, he brought knowledge. They both brought metaphorical light. However, that was his opinion. That was not actual Masonic dogma, if that's the right term. There is no such thing as Masonic dogma. Yes, Lloyd, I'm looking pretty rough. Please hit like and subscribe. Welcome, Nilburn. Yes, I got a weird shaped head, Masked Bandit. Please hit like and subscribe. It is a social club, the Happy Little Homestead. That's a really good way to describe it. There are different degrees because Freemasonry evolved from stonemasonry, and the different degrees represent different stages of a stonemason's journey, from entered apprentice to master mason. Also, advancing through degrees creates bonds through shared experiences, right? Shared knowledge equals shared experiences, which is incredibly valuable. Um, they discuss, I mean, it could be any number of different things, anything from special events to paying the bills to new members to Masonic education. It really depends on the worshipful master. Um, well, Brandon, you can walk in whatever you want. You are incorrect and you are a foolish person. Um, Sally Stargold, it would not make a difference if I'm homosexual or heterosexual. What matters is what matters is that I'm a Freemason. Freemasonry does not discriminate. I know many, well, I say many, I've known homosexual Freemasons, heterosexual Freemasons. It's not relevant to whether you're a good man and true, and that's what's important for Freemasonry. Evelith, Evelith, Minnesota, Minneapolis. What's MN? I think it's Minneapolis, Lodge 239. Hello, I am Border Cities Lodge number 554. I'm also a member of Windsor Lodge 403 and Harmony Lodge 579, as well as a lodge in Texas and a lodge in Israel. Thank you for being here. Koala Kurt, don't worry about being a 33rd degree. Just focus on joining and getting your first 3 degrees. That's what matters. You can look at advancing after that if you really want to. There are some Masons who enjoy Dungeons and Dragons, but Freemasonry is much more boring than that. We're not fighting dragons, nor are we in dungeons. But it is a club, right? There are people who may hang out and join a club to play board games like Dungeons and Dragons. There are other people who will, for example, become a Freemason. It's about what you enjoy. It's about what you love. It's been okay, Amy and Moody. I hope your day has gone well also. Hello, Harry Hawk. Thank you for being here once again. What makes it a cult to believe in a higher power or a supreme being? Why is that equivalent to being a cult? It would be a cult if you were told which higher power you had to believe in and given threats if you didn't, that or coercion to believe in it. But Freemasonry does not tell you what to believe nor coerces you into believing it. So how is it a cult? Sorry, your day's been kind of horrible, Amia Moody. I hope it gets better. I hope being here makes it a little bit better, at least. Oof. Well, whenever somebody tells me they're healing from a surgery, I always feel bad that they had to have a surgery because that sucks. And it's never, even the most routine surgery, it takes a while to heal from and there's risks. However, it also makes me happy in the sense that at least I know they got the surgery, they got the medical attention that they need, and hopefully they are on the road to recovery. So it's one of those things, it's a double-edged sword, right? Well, the last time Masons were just Masons was about 300, 400 years ago. Now we have, Freemasons or speculative Masons have existed since 1634. So you're missing a time very, very long ago. Um, you can absolutely learn good moral character without being a Mason. You can learn good moral character by being part of a team environment, by playing football, right? Freemasonry is one of many ways to develop good moral character. It's the way I choose because I love it. You don't have to love it. You don't have to agree with it. That's perfectly fine. But it's what I love, right? Um, Although what I would say is the idea of not paying dues, most organizations or clubs or groups, not all, require some type of dues payment, just for the record. So keep that in mind. Um, I'm not sure what it means to travel some kind of road. They may have said something to the effect of like traveling to the east. You hear east a lot. I've never been a fan of those type of ways to check if someone's a Mason. To me, you just ask, are you a Mason? The person can say yes or no. And if they say yes, ask them which lodge they are a member of and to which Grand Lodge they belong. And that should be sufficient. Um, oh, we got this person back. It would not help you become a legal resident of Canada. That's not what Freemasonry is about. Freemasonry expects you to be obedient and compliant with the laws of the country in which you live. Um, the daunting part of Freemasonry is the fact that you now have responsibilities towards your brothers, especially if you become a worshipful master. A big part of the daunting nature of Freemasonry, though, is how much work are you willing to put into it yourself. That is something you need to keep in mind, right? Minnesota. Great to have some brethren from Minnesota. Thank you for being here. I would love to visit a Masonic Lodge in Minnesota. I think that'd be really, really cool. Well, you have to pay dues. I mean, even like a member of sports teams or sports clubs, You had to pay dues to be on the team. And those dues went to, for example, renting out ice time or practice time or equipment or whatever it might be. So, well, Kier Lefan, I hope you hit the like button and the subscribe button. I'd very much appreciate that. You don't need to be a tradesman to join the Freemasons. We have Masons of all different backgrounds, white collar, blue collar, and everything in between. I've known lawyer Freemasons, custodian Freemasons, CEOs, bankers, and everything in between. Um, Smarties, I mean, they may, but it's not the purpose of Freemasonry. I mean, the more people you know, you have a greater network. It may indirectly or inadvertently help you with your lodges, however, or your career. There's no guarantee of that, right? Um, it's no different than if you join a knitting club or you start to, join a volleyball, whatever it is you join. A big part of that will be, that you get help with networking. Um, Ty Kroc, I'm not a Christian myself, but I know many Freemasons who are. It didn't start with that, although it definitely can be a benefit of it. Um, there could be a homeless Mason. It's always possible. I mean, hopefully not, though. You'd hope that the Masons would step in and help the brother. I've known three brothers who would have ended up homeless and on the street were it not for Freemasons stepping in and supporting them when they needed it by helping to pay their mortgage. Um, well, that's cool, Nigel. Many Masonic lodges have awards for students, scholarships to help students pay for their education. My lodges have that as well. So, um, no, Harry Hawk, there are no particular Freemason birthday traditions except for maybe buying a cake. Um, Freemasonry is not Jewish. There are Jewish Freemasons, but Freemasonry welcomes men of all different faith and ethnicities. It depends on how, it can take anywhere from a few years to decades. It really depends on how long and how much work you as a Mason want to put into it. Um, some, within 2 years of being a Mason are up to the 32nd. Pick when you're asking about sins, you're going to have to talk to a religious leader. Freemasonry is not religion, so I cannot tell you what is and isn't a sin. That's up to your religious understanding. I love dogs, Magic the Gathering. I think I love animals more than people, to be perfectly honest, as a general rule. So no, Masons do not hate animals. In fact, some Masons support different animal shelters. Freemasonry originated in Scotland in 1634. The first Grand Lodge was formed in England in 1717. Um, I've heard about those investigations, Chai. I'm not quite sure that you're reading them right. To my knowledge, those investigations did not find any Masonic wrongdoing. Um, I've known Muslims who like dogs just fine. I don't know if that's true or not. That sounds vaguely racist. It might be a cultural thing, but I've known Muslims who like dogs just fine. So I highly question that. I have never noticed in Canada any Freemasons using it for malicious intent. I've known Canadian Freemasons who have joined for the wrong reasons, such as they fell for online scams, believing that Freemasonry would make them rich or famous, or wanting to, network for business reasons exclusively. That type of stuff is never particularly helpful. Um, well, I hope you will not protest me. However, you can do whatever you want, I suppose. The live stream, who cares? By the way, who cares? Please like and subscribe. The lodge in Hamilton, the Scottish Rite Club, is beautiful. It is incredible. It is an absolutely wonderful building. I should, because it is glorious. I've had some videos from there in the past. They're really, really cool and really beautiful. So, Freemasonry is a civic or community organization that evolved from stonemason guilds in the Middle Ages. Think about it like a community group or a club. The Elks, the Moose, the Rotary, Freemasonry, and Freemasons just happen to represent the oldest and, in my opinion, the most influential group. However, like with anything, it does not guarantee power, influence, riches. It should not get you those things. You should join out of a desire to be part of a club or a group and enjoy one another's company. Um, Yes, Kier fan, but there is several different Order of Women Freemason lodges around the world. There's also co-masonry, although that I think is primarily in France. Well, because I don't know if Henry Ford was a Freemason and an anti-Semitic off the top of my head, but Freemasons are human beings, which means, unfortunately, despite the best efforts of Masonic teachings or Masonic philosophies, people don't always understand them. In the same way, um, George Washington could write, we hold these truths to be self evident all men are created equal and own slaves. A Freemason can believe in religious tolerance, at least in theory, but in practice be anti Semitic. It's unfortunately the case that with human beings, very often there falls a shadow between the ideals and the implementation. It's up to us as Freemasons to do our best to limit that shadow as much as possible. Um, well, I mean, if somebody was acting maliciously, in theory, they could be brought up on Masonic charges. The Book of Constitutions is not guarded by the Tyler's sword. I don't know what that means exactly. I mean, most bylaws are online at this, not bylaws, but constitutions are available to Masons online or digitally. I don't know if you mean that metaphorically. Um, I do not know what you mean by independent president. He was a Freemason, George Washington, but there have been many, there's been 45 presidents. I don't know what you mean by independent. Every politician, to some extent, is dealing with competing interests, and to the extent that they can handle and deal with those competing interests is always going to be a challenge. Conflict of interest is always going to be a real thing, for better or worse. Um, well, you can rebuke all you want to, Brandon, but you are incorrect and you are wrong. So there you go. But feel free to rebuke away. Hate is absolutely a protective human emotion. You're not wrong about that, unfortunately. Hate, anger, fear, these are all protective emotions in different ways. Well, I do not think Freemasons are corrupt. I mean, a Freemason can be corrupt, but Freemasonry as an institution is not corrupt. Hello, Beyond Ether. I do not know what Fast 11 is. I try to remove my hate as well, but it is also always there, and it's really hard. You just have to keep trying your best, but it's absolutely a challenge. Tanner, a ton is left. That's very foolish. In fact, the majority of Freemasonry would be left. Freemasonry is ultimately based on stone Masonic guilds and stone masonry. So, for example, the square and compasses with the letter G would remain, is just one example. The working tools of the Master Mason degrees would be left. Eastern Star would be left. The youth groups would be left. Um, the majority of the degrees would be left. Um, uh, Prince Hall would be left. Um, modes of recognition would be left. York Rite would be left. A lot of stuff would be left. So it's a misunderstanding. Um, well, I've been a Mason for just about 20 years. I've attended 1,000 Masonic events around the world. So I don't know what you're talking about, but I think I know what I'm talking about. Cool. My dad is a Mason as well, as were both of my grandparents, both my grandfathers, I should say. Masonic charges are if a Mason acts in a manner that is against the Constitution or bylaws under which he operates. So in Ontario, I mean, it's something as simple as I don't think it would ever happen because it'd be way too much work. But if a Mason shows up to a Masonic lodge or if a Mason shows up to a Masonic lodge not in proper dress, not in a suit and tie, in theory, that's a violation of the bylaws, and he could be brought up on Masonic charges. He very likely wouldn't, because, whatever, maybe he was busy, didn't have time to change. But in theory, that could be a Masonic charge. Um, R. Stoner, you, sir, are living a very not good life, it's clear. I think you're a very sad person, probably a very unhappy person. And it's unfortunate that the way you find happiness is to try to rage bait others. But I would consider perhaps considering why you as a human being are not a very good one. Um, there's no really such thing as a higher level Mason, the Happy Little Homestead. That is kind of a misconception. Well, I think you're laughing a lot at other people's, you're laughing in a mean, cruel way. If you see somebody trip down the stairs and laugh at them, that doesn't mean you're a good or happy person. That means you're a cruel person and probably a very childish person as well. Um, so don't think about it in terms of higher level. The highest degree within Freemasonry is the third degree. The highest office within Freemasonry is the worshipful master. Certainly, you can at least informally be an elder Mason if you've been around for a while, and you have a degree of, I don't know what the word is, within that elder degree of Freemasonry, you've been around for a while. People may have a certain level of respect for you. However, um, the worshipful master, if you've been a Mason for 5 years and are worshipful master of the lodge, you have the highest office in the lodge, and you, in theory, outrank a 50-year Mason who's a 33rd degree, for example. Well, no, if somebody is Jewish and they're a Mason, they don't have their own specific bylaws. It's the bylaws of the Masonic Lodge to which they're a member. Now, they may have their own religious laws and religious responsibilities, but that's separate from Freemasonry. Freemasonry, their lodge, will have its own bylaws, and it'll say things like when they meet, where they meet, the dress code, the responsibilities of the different offices, things like that. Um, Worst punishment you can get is a Mason being suspended from the craft, basically saying you're not able to meet. That's it. Um, Brandon, you can pray as much as you would like. Um, honestly, Chili Head, you're absolutely correct. Freemason originally was a Mason. It was a trade union. It was a guild in the Middle Ages. They were stonemasons. They built things out of stone. And then in the Middle Ages, um, they became, along with maintaining the professional aspect, a separate group developed, evolved from that group, but it was speculative Masons, otherwise known as a social or a civic club. It was a community organization. It's kind of like if you have a group of trade unionists, let's say stonemasons, who every weekend get together at the bar and hang out for drinks, and eventually they form their own separate club consisting of both Masons and non-Masons. That's kind of what it was. Uh, our stoner, I know you're not a very good person. You are the type of person who would laugh at somebody falling down the stairs because it's clear that you're the type of person who laughs maliciously and laughs cruelly. Um, you're definitely expected to be a mentor, I think, to younger Masons. So, not younger, newer is the right term. You can be a new Mason and be 80 years old in theory, right? To be a Mason, you have to be at least either 18 or 21 years of age. But we have Masons who join even in their 80s, for example. And in that case, a Mason who, let's say, has been a Mason for 25 years, but joined when he was 30 would be considered the more senior Mason. Certainly, it's encouraged to try to mentor. You don't have to, but each today I was at a mentoring committee. So where the newer Masons were learning about their work and their efforts and kind of how to advance within the craft. You do need to laugh in this world, but not at others and not by trying to rage bait people. Um, well, there's not a fourth degree within craft masonry. The highest degree in Freemasonry is a third degree. There is a fourth degree up to a 32nd degree in Scottish Rite. There's also chapters in York Rite. There's also Shrine. Um, I am not a cop. Do I look like a cop? What would be wrong with being Jewish? I'm not saying I am or I'm not, but what's wrong with being Jewish? Um, the the technical language, symbolism, and rites of Freemasonry are full of stone Masonic symbols, Egyptian mysticism, Stoic philosophy, um, Chinese mythology, Islam, Christianity. architectural symbolism, like the pillars, the liberal arts and sciences, Enlightenment philosophy, but primarily um, it comes from stonemasonry. When our rituals are being developed, our Masonic, brothers of the time in the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th centuries were not proud. We're more than happy to borrow symbolism from a variety of different sources and areas. Judaism was one of many because they were trying to develop a civic and social club that would be attractive to many different peoples and groups. And to do so, they borrowed from many different ideologies and symbolisms and rites and philosophies, trade unions, trade guilds, even architecture. No, R. Stoner. The vast majority of Masons are not Jewish. I know Jewish Masons. In my experience, whatever the makeup or demographics of your community is, that will be reflected in the Masonic Lodge. So if you're in a community which is majority Christian, the majority of Masons in your lodge will be Christian as well. If you're in an area where it's majority Muslim membership. Um, yes, that's not a bad way to put it, XCal. Not a terrible way to put it. I would agree. I think they are a community of people looking out for one another. My suggestion in terms of where to learn a lot about Freemasonry, a good place to start is Freemasonry for Dummies by Chris Hoda. Um, well, the worshipful master, the reason it's called worshipful, it's an old English term. For example, many mayors of cities are called the worship, his worship. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's not specific in terms of worship in a religious sense. Every Mason does not worship the worshipful master. It's simply a title in the same way mayors are called their worship or his or her worship. Every Mason worships his own supreme being. It could be Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, etc., etc. Freemasonry is not a religion, so you need to keep that in mind. Um, Holy cow, I missed a lot of stuff here. Freemasons are all different colors. Freemasons does not discriminate. We have black, white, Asian, European, indigenous, Spanish, I don't know. Pick your. Freemason does not discriminate based on ethnicity. Um, well, but that's above, if I recall correctly, that's above the craft lodge. The craft lodge is the most important part of Freemasonry. Sure. I mean, there's also, for example, Prince Hall, which is a wonderful organization within Freemasonry that was started for Black men in America, African Americans, spread throughout the world. No, we do not worship Lucifer, Samuel. Freemasons do not worship any being or any deity of any sort. So just keep that in mind. Um, it's not black exclusive, Sayer. They are white Prince Hall Masons. There are black Masons. In my lodge, it's not exclusive anymore. However, it may have started, it welcomes men of all different races. Good morning, Dylan. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. That's awesome, Kier. There are many Masonic lodges in many cities. I don't know if there's an order of women Freemasons in your city. Unfortunately, if there's not, you will not be able to join that lodge in particular, but it's worth exploring and it's worth discussing. That's 100% for sure. Just figuring out where are the closest order of women Freemasons to you. Um, what are the ranks? Don't think about it in terms of ranks. Think about it in terms of degrees and offices. There are 3 degrees in Freemasonry: entered apprentice, fellow craft, master mason. There are also several different offices within Freemasonry, the highest being the worshipful master of the lodge. That's cool, R. Stoner. There are Masonic lodges all sorts of different places. Eastern Star is for females, and there are many Eastern Star lodges around the world also. So that's another thing you can join if you want to be involved in Freemasonry. As a woman, you can join Eastern Star. Um, I mean, I would say 99, maybe even 100. It's incredible. I've been a Mason for 20 years. I've seen 2 applications denied. So, for whatever it's worth. Again, there's Order of Women Freemasons, there's Eastern Star. Order of Women Freemasons is a great Masonic group. They're very popular right now in England, for example. Um, well, Blue Lodge is not for females. That's not how most people would describe it. Again, it's Eastern Star or Order of Women Freemasons. It's not that I'm not allowed to, it's I choose not to. I choose not to for three reasons. First, it's like a family recipe. The benefit of maintaining the privacy of the rituals is it maintains the bonds of brotherhood between Masons. In the same way, maintaining the privacy of a family recipe helps to ensure that the bonds between the family generations remain strong. Also, um, the rituals are not the same everywhere. One of the biggest misconceptions within Freemasonry is this idea that Masonic lodges have the same rituals everywhere. We do not. So if I share my Masonic ritual experience, you may join with expectations that will not be met. And as a consequence of that, you're going to be disappointed. You're not going to be present for the lodge. You're going to be expecting things. And also, it's like spoilers. If I give out the ritual secrets, I'm giving out spoilers, and somebody's initiation ceremony and ritual will not be as meaningful. Chubs, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Big C, Google is the best approach to take. And after you Google it, ask them which Grand Lodge they are affiliated with. J4J, Masons don't need to be secretly gay or not secretly gay. Freemasonry does not discriminate. I know gay Freemasons and straight Freemasons. That's awesome, Pyramid. My grandfather and both my grandfathers and my father were Freemasons. They were also great men. So that is awesome. Solomon's Temple. I don't think Solomon's Temple was built by demons. At least in theory, Solomon's Temple was built by Hiram Abiff and was built by fellow crafts. Solomon's Temple is a important symbol within Freemasonry, but it is not the most important, nor is it the exclusive symbol within Freemasonry. It's one of many symbols within Freemasonry. I may be Republican, I may be Democrat. I'm Canadian, so I guess that doesn't matter. Freemasonry does not discriminate based on one's religious beliefs. You need to keep that in mind. I don't know what that means by Masons are not the original. Original what? Freemasons are part of, I mean, Freemasonry dates to 1634 or maybe 1717. I don't know. There were groups before that, certainly. And you, our stoner, are not a good human being. Although, why is being gay an insult? Seems like a weird thing. I am not trying to rule the world. I am trying to get more subscribers. So please hit the like and subscribe button. I would be greatly appreciative of doing so. Swiss Rite is a whole separate thing. Honestly, I may do that another stream. Silence, because I'm going to be ending this stream shortly. But York and Scottish Rite, I will say this. They both originally formed from Andrew Raymond Chevalier, who's a really cool dude. He gave a speech in 1737 connecting Freemasonry and Freemasons to the Crusaders, which eventually became the Knights Templars, which eventually helped evolve into Scottish and York Rite, primarily York Rite. I think in some ways you could argue Andrew Raymond Chevalier was the father of the York Rite, a French Mason. Also, York Rite for the ancients in England, the York Rite was considered almost the unofficial third degree in Freemasonry. They were kind of considered actually the fourth degree to be more important than the third degree. And that was a big bone of contention between the two. Yes, I got a big nose, V_V_SO709. Can you please hit the like and subscribe button? Well, you can do stuff outside of Freemasonry, but that's a weird question to ask, Jitsko. I don't really understand that statement. That's like saying my favorite song is Simple Man by Leonard Skinner, and you respond, why can't you listen to other music? Well, because I like that song. I can do stuff outside of Freemasonry, but I like Freemasonry. I can watch soccer, but I prefer to watch football. It's just what I prefer, what I love. If you want to do develop character and morals and be part of clubs and groups outside of Freemasonry, then more power to you. I would say maybe legend, but I would say if the paranoia starts to become significant enough of an issue that interferes with your day-to-day life and causes you stress, you should talk to a doctor. Clash grounds. It does, because Freemasonry does not discriminate. Freemasonry is about being good men and true, or good men and honest. You can be, gay or straight. Doesn't make a difference. Patriot Container. What's my deal? I'm here talking about Freemasonry. Please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. I'm trying to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession through content creation. Freemasonry is not a cult. I talked about why it's not a cult on the previous two streams. It does not have the characteristics of a cult. It does not have authoritarian control, religious doctrines, political doctrines. It does not seek to isolate the membership, nor does it promise any type of economic gains in exchange for servitude of any sort. That, amongst many other reasons, is why Freemasonry is not a cult. You can believe in Christ and be a Freemason. You can believe in Allah and be a Freemason. You can believe in Hindus. You can be Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist. Freemasonry is a civic organization, which means it does not discriminate based on one's religious beliefs. I guess I still don't understand why Stone Raider, but okay. You can be a Freemason and a Christian. I know many Christian Freemasons, so that is incorrect. You, sir, are incorrect. Freemasons is not a secret club because I'm here talking about it. So Cal rocks. Well, that is not true. Truth. That is a idea from Albert Pike. However, Albert Pike viewed Lucifer and Satan as different entities. Lucifer was more of a Prometheus-style figure, a light bringer, morning star. He was not the same as Satan cast out in the Bible, cast out by God. There are different considerations, means different things. That is Albert Pike, though. And keep in mind, what matters in Freemasonry, the ultimate and most important thing within Freemasonry are the first 3 degrees. That is the foundation on which Freemasonry rests. You get rid of those 3 degrees, there's no more Freemasonry, right? I hope people don't stalk Freemasons. What is the minimum for membership? James Lacosta. You need to be of the correct age. You need to believe in a supreme being, however, that can be very liberally defined. And you need to approach the lodge and express your interest in joining. Those are the 3 minimums. After that, you go through the process and you take it from there. We do not compete for power. We do not compete with anybody or anything, except, I suppose, how comfortable the couch is and what's on television, which may keep you from attending a meeting. But I do not consider myself as a Freemason in competition with any other group, be it Knights of Columbus, Elks, Moose, or any other civic organizations. I think the more civic organizations grow in general, the better it is for Freemasonry. Our Stoner, the benefits of Freemasonry it depends on the Mason. A benefit I get from being a Freemason is it makes me feel closer to my grandfather. He passed away before I was born. However, he was a Freemason. And so the fact that him and I were both Masons makes me feel connected to him. I also am put in a privileged position and try to help make the world a better place. I can help my brothers. You develop certain skills and abilities. You certainly develop memorization skills. You also develop administrative skills. You can learn how to run meetings, make motions, pass motions, all of which is incredibly important and incredibly necessary, especially if you, for example, have a job in which you may need to run a meeting. But more than that, what is the benefit of any social group or social club? You enjoy each other's company and you want to hang out with people, right? What are the benefits of going out with your friends on a Friday night? Right? Why must there be anything beyond enjoyment of one's company? The difference with Freemasonry is we put on suits and have a more formal approach to it, but ultimately it is a guy's night out. There are administrative skills. Why knock those, Chai? Why laugh at that? You got to develop them somewhere. Why not within Freemasonry? It does not, although I think it should. I think we in Freemasonry should spend more time thinking of and talking about our stone mason brethren who kind of paved the way, pun intended, for us. CD, welcome. Thank you for being here. It's been a minute. I hope you're doing well. If you want to use the term ideology, I guess you could. I'm hesitant to use the term ideology. It's a membership. It's a designation of membership. I mean, is football an ideology? There are ideals that go with it. Teamwork, practice, physical fitness, sportsmanship, Is that equate with an ideology? Is there an ideology of being a part of a football team? Is there an ideology of being part of a Masonic lodge? I mean, maybe. You would have to decide that for yourself. Um, as Kiefer says, you pay union dues. Is a union a cult? Um, Perfect Master, I think that refers to the fourth degree, if I recall correctly. It's not the highest degree in Freemasonry. The highest degree in Freemasonry is the third degree, despite what people think. Um, you don't get white. I hated those white gloves. Not every Masonic lodge wears white gloves. That's kind of a 50s thing. Because back in the day and in the 20s, if you wore a tuxedo or like a suit as a formal dress, you would wear white gloves as well. That was like upper crust, high society thing. I had one worshipful master who liked all of us wearing the gloves. It was such a pain in the ass. Um, I hated those gloves because I'm in a wheelchair. I could never grip my wheels because it got slippery. I hated those. I was so happy when the next worship master came on and we stopped needing to wear the gloves. Um, there's something wrong in this chat. What's going on, Legend Jesus? Are you not getting all the things through? I do not know what a Sumerian is. The Happy Little Homestead. I have no issue with Islam as an ideology. I've met many, Muslims, many brethren who are Muslim who follow the Islamic faith, and no issue with them at all. I am not to be a reviler of anyone's religion. I think that's one of the greatest things within Freemasonry is it teaches us and reminds us not to revile or judge anyone's faith, which I think is a very good thing. There's many different degrees in Freemasonry. However, the highest degree is the third degree. We do not, Caesar. We do not, which is a good thing because I would lose. I have no doubt. Um, I do not know anyone who uses adrenochrome. That's a weird conspiracy. I don't even know what that is for sure. Never heard of it within Freemasonry. Um, and anybody who thinks we do is a foolish person. Um, well, maybe you got to join. There's a leap of faith involved. Ultimately, we get together and enjoy one another's company. Think about it like a very formalized guys' night out. Um, so we do not impose excessive control over members. We do not exercise almost any control over members, except when they're meeting in a lodge. And even then, it's within, how you run a successful meeting. If a guy keeps talking and doesn't let others talk, he may be told to be quiet to let somebody else speak. That's a different thing. So there you go. And we're also not Satanists, Mojo. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. We do not, although sometimes I think there's lots of schizophrenics in the chat here on this stream, but that's a different story for a whole different day. Please take a moment if you're just joining us to hit the like button and the subscribe button. And thank you all so much for being here. I hope you're all having an excellent day. Thank you for helping me out with the subs as well. My subscribers are growing, and I greatly appreciate that. Tomorrow, technically today actually, 10 a.m. Eastern, I'm starting the 2,000 push-ups in 23 days challenge. I'm going to be doing 2,000 push-ups over 23 days. The first one will be tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., probably in front of the Windsor Masonic Temple. Well, I mean, the first 3 degrees, they're just, the numbers are chosen because it's 3 degrees. It's 1, 2, 3. You get your first, your second, your third. Degrees are important because it represents a progressive growth and more knowledge about Freemasonry. It's meant to reflect the stone Masonic guilds, which went from entered apprentice to fellow crafter master mason. It's basically learning how to be a craftsman, learning how to be a Freemason. Oh, I just found out today is sweater day. That's really cool. I mean, I don't view it as competition. People should find what they enjoy and go with that. If that's Knights of Columbus, that's great. If that's Elks, Moose, that's great. Or they can join them all. It's whatever works best for them. George Bush is not a Mason, Truth. You are incorrect. George Bush is not a Mason, neither is George W. Bush. Legend, you just have to use common sense and observations at a certain point. You can never know for sure. You can never know for sure. However, it is absolutely the case and absolutely possible to Try to use reason, try to use your knowledge. Pay attention to, for example, false promises, moving of the goalposts, requests for money or goods or favors without return. All those things might indicate you're being deceived or a part of a cult or a pretend Masonic group. If they're making you promises of, for example, riches, fame, fortune, all of that is very likely an example of, being part of a cult or otherwise being deceived. Um, Skull and Bones is a different organization. They're a fraternity. I believe they're out of Yale. I mean, I suppose it's a group, it's a fraternity. I suppose there may be some connections, but like there's some similarities, I should say. But I don't know of any because I don't know anything about Skull and Bones really. There may even have been some Skull and Bones members who became Freemasons, but I don't know of any off the top of my head. Yes, Chris. I think men built the pyramids in Egypt. I don't believe aliens built or anything like that. I think that's silly. I think actually it was just a lot of slave labor and a lot of resources by the pharaoh over a lot of years. Um, Kilmon Killick, hello. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. I mean, I suppose I never heard of any Freemasons dating. I've actually heard of a Mason dating a member of the Order of Women Freemasons, so that's happened. I don't think Masons would want to, like if you had, let's say, in the fraternal side, two gay Freemasons, I don't think they would want to date each other. One of the beautiful things about Freemasonry is the creation of what's called a third space. This is actually a sociological concept I've talked about in the past. For most of history, men especially had what was called a third space. They had their work space, they had their family space, and then they had a third space where they could go to kind of refresh themselves, get away from responsibilities, focus on things like brotherhood, camaraderie. That could be a bowling league, that could be a chess club, that could be going to the bar with friends, that could be Freemasonry, that could be the Elks, that could be the Moose. Having your significant other also be part of that third space, I think that would I think men join Freemasonry because they're looking for a space where they're not quote unquote on call as dad, as the husband, as the employee, as the boss. Um, um, I do not know what 70 double prestige means, but that sounds very made up for the record. Um, I have read Bowling Alone by Putman. I like Bowling Alone. I think he got some things incorrect, but I think overall he got much more correct than incorrect. I will say also, his movie based on the book Join or Die was very good. So you should check out that book as well. Um, Most hated Mason? I don't know. I don't hate any Masons. So I guess I'll take that. Um, I don't know enough about Scientology to say, R. Stoner. I don't really know anything about Scientology. To my knowledge, it is a religion. So as a consequence of that, it occupies a different space. But I believe a stonemason could be a Freemason. I don't see why not. Um, It did sound very fake. So Join or Die is a movie, it's a documentary based on the book by Robert Putnam. It's called Join or Die because he argues that by not joining civic institutions, we're more likely to have bad health outcomes and die early, which I think is true, by the way. So yeah, I thought that was a really interesting movie. I saw it actually in Alma, Michigan, which was really fun. Um, I would not say that. I don't think religious people are mentally ill. I think religious people, and I shouldn't say that. Unfortunately, excuse me, that's not the right term. For better or worse, religious understanding, religious beliefs, religion has been part of humanity for since the dawn of time. If nothing else, it clearly serves a very valuable purpose from an evolutionary psychology perspective, even if you don't believe it's literally true. So I would not say they're mentally ill at all. And as a Freemason, I would never be the reviler of one's religion or religious beliefs. Um, I have, Brandon, but it's been a while. I really love to bring up Moral and Dogma by Albert Pike. T. Jason, you need to hit the like and subscribe button. That's what you need to do. And we are not trying to bring communism. Freemasonry is not a political organization. Communism is a political expression or political ideology. There may be communist Freemasons. There may also be libertarian, anarchist, conservative, liberal, and everything in between. I do the way it's experience. I actually really, really enjoy very much um, Dead Space. Dead Space 1, 2, and 3. I think they're all awesome movies. Um, I actually read a lot of Carl Jung, but I'm familiar with his stuff through YouTube videos. I enjoy what I've heard of him, but I don't read a lot of his stuff. Brandon, awesome. I've never played Nightmare Creature, Rooster, but I have to check it out. Satanism, talk to the lodge. Don't prejudge it, just express your interest and go from there. In my experience, I've never met a satanic Freemason. I've been told that a Satanist's supreme being is themselves, which probably would not count. However, there are liberal orders of Freemasonry. They're primarily in France, though you may find them in America, which do allow any belief, including atheism or an atheist, to join. Um, no, that's not true. Freemasons do not have any of its own teachings. It maybe has its own ideals or its own philosophies, but those it's no different than being a football player. If you're part of a football team, by virtue of being part of the team, you will learn certain excellencies of character, certain morals. You'll learn about the value of teamwork. You learn about the value of practice, the value of sportsmanship, the value of staying healthy and fit, the value of a good diet, the value of safety, like wearing your equipment, the value of responsibility. Those aren't the teachings of football. Those are just things you learn because you're a football player. Freemasonry is the same way. It doesn't have teachings per se. What it does have is excellencies or virtues that it illuminates, like tolerance, respect, kindness, dedication, brotherhood, etc., etc. Why is that different, Truth? I think a football team is a philosophy on life. I think the whole point of every sports movie ever is that sports represents a philosophy of life. Look at that speech in Any Given Sunday by Al Pacino. If that's not a philosophy of life within the context of football, but applicable to life as a whole, I don't know what is. Um, Goodbye, Hard Bark, but please, Hard Bark, hit like and subscribe before you go. I don't like to use the term teachings. I would use the term it has philosophies. But those philosophies illuminate based on how much you put into the craft, more so than anything else. Hello, the speaker of purity with your potato. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. I don't know, Legend. That's a question for your religious leadership. I would have no idea how to answer that. Well, it's definitely more ideology than theology. Though I'm not a huge fan of either of those terms, I would say what it mostly is philosophy. But it's definitely not theology, for the record. Um, I suppose, Stone Raider, but sometimes splitting of hairs is important, right? The reason I do that within Freemasonry and on this channel is if I'm not extremely precise with my terms, people can take it and run with it. So, for example, if you have an anti-Mason who believes Freemasonry is a religion and they're on watching the stream and they hear me say teachings, they may take that and say, see, Freemasonry is a religion. It has teachings like religions. Whereas philosophy is understood to be more secular. So you have to be careful sometimes. I do my best to be careful. Even though I speak exclusively for myself and not for anybody else, I still think it's incredibly important that as much as possible, I do my best to not allow myself to be careful with my words. I think there's a real value in that. Our Stoner, you need to lead a better life than you're leading. Anybody who just jumps on a stream to insult other people is kind of cruel for no reason. Um, you may be able to find them through religion, legend. I'm sure many do. Um, well, en route 27. As you're saying that, I hope you'll take a moment to hit the like and subscribe button. I am at 3,469 subs. I need one more to get to 3,470. So help a brother out. Um, Lord of all below above, fill our hearts with truth and love. I suppose it's always good to have your heart filled with truth and love. Well, the all-seeing eye is, sometimes called the eye of providence. In ancient Egypt, it's called the eye of Ra. It's not in every Grand Lodge, but when it is used, it mostly is a reminder. It's kind of like the postman always rings twice. It's a reminder that just because you think, you're doing something illegal or wrong or immoral in private and you think nobody sees it, fate, God, Jesus, pick your term, the all-seeing eye, Allah, your understanding of religion does see it and is aware of it. So, um, and to remind you to act in accordance and in that way. The all-seeing eye has always been a very common symbol throughout history. Freemasons are not the only or not the exclusive group to use it. Um, I mean, I think some can rely on scripture, some cannot. I'm not a big fan of that. I think everybody can rely on whatever they need to rely on. I don't want to knock anybody for how they find their supreme being, whether it be in the Christian faith or anything else. Once again, please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and thank you so much for being here. Um, Tracy, Queen of Wands. I hope that the AI systems that control humanity are or is encouraging you to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Help me get to my 70. And thank you so much for being here. Um, Thank you, Kier. I really appreciate that as well. Let's just give it a few more minutes. I'm going to be ending this stream soon because I do have a busy day tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern, the first of my 2000, the first of my 2,000 push-ups over 23 days, which should be a lot of fun. I'm going to give it a couple more just to see if we get any last minute questions, last minute thoughts, last minute comments, etc., etc. Um, check out my stuff on social media. Thank you, officially Mazda. If I'm very handsome, you should like and subscribe button. And most people think I'm very ugly, for the record, so I appreciate that. Um, uh, Honestly, Tracy, you're not wrong. AI can sometimes put fear into people if you're not careful. I mean, every Shriner is a Freemason. The Freemasons are Shriners first and foremost, right? But then they are their own body within. It's like an independent body. So to be a Shriner, you must first be a Freemason. Um, Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I don't discuss ceremonies. What I will say is I've never seen anything within a Masonic ceremony that is illegal, immoral, or against one's civic, religious, or moral responsibilities. Thank you, Anima, but many people do on this stream, believe me. I've been told I'm very ugly many, many, many times. I've grown to just accept it. Um, I do hope everybody's doing well, though. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for making this a really successful stream. It's been going excellent, so I greatly appreciate that. A lot of new subscribers, which is much appreciated. Hopefully, I can get over 3,500 in the next couple days. Thank you, Alex Pigeon. I appreciate that. That's incredibly kind of you. Tool, I'll have to check it out. I don't know that song off the top of my head. So I'll see if I can learn more about it or check it out. That sounds really, really cool. Thank you for sharing that. Let me just do a quick check here because I'm curious about something. Okay, it's been a really excellent stream. All right, thank you guys again so much. I'm going to be ending this stream now. However, I will be back on 10 a.m. for the doing 63 push-ups as part of 2,000 push-ups in 23 days. No, it does not discuss anything with the origins of life truth. But thank you for being here. Thank you all. I'll talk to you all soon. Have a great night.